is Agnes Evangelio, and in this video I will discuss to you about the communication for journalists, specifically writing the lead. Writers in newsrooms frequently joke that any information after the first paragraph is lost because no one reads past the first paragraph. That puts a lot of pressure on knowing how to write a lead. So what does it mean when you say lead? A lead is an opening paragraph that gives the audience the most important information of the news story in a concise and clear manner while still maintaining the reader's interest. If a reader does not read beyond your first paragraph, they should still have an idea of what your article is about and the most important information from that article. There are many different strategies for writing a good lead as well as many different opinions, but the strongest opinion is that they are hard and take time. Don't plan on rushing a good lead. These are some tips for writing a lead. First is the 5 W's and H. So before writing a lead, decide which aspect of the story, who, what, when, where, why, how, is most important. You should emphasize those aspects in your lead. Wait to explain less important aspects until the second or third sentence. And also, you need to remember the inverted pyramid. The second one is you need to keep it simple. The best lead is one that is concise and clear. Think about your story and then write a simple but powerful way to reflect it. Don't bog your reader down with overly complicated language or extra words. You must be clear and concise. Third is you need to keep it short. A good lead provides all the information the reader requires in just a few words. Ideally, a lead should be between 25 to 40 words. The fourth one is don't bury your lead. Your lead is your hook, the thing that makes the reader interested in your story. If you bury it, then their interest might be buried along with it. They shouldn't have to ask themselves what the story is about. You should be telling them up front. Fifth one is the ABCs of journalism. Remember your ABCs, which are accuracy, brevity, and clarity. Though this should be incorporated throughout your article, they are especially important in the lead. Sixth is you need to write it in active voice. You should avoid all forms of the verb to be. Common exceptions including writing about fatalities, like 2 people were killed Thursday, and when discussing police activity, like 2 people were arrested. Passive voice is often the result of incomplete reporting, and using strong verbs will make your lead lively and interesting. Passive constructions, on the other hand, can sound dull and leave out important information, such as the person or thing that caused the action. Incomplete reporting is often a source of passive leads. 8 is conflict. Good stories have conflict, so do many good leads. 9th is specificity. Though you are essentially summarizing information in most leads, try to be specific as possible. If your lead is too broad, it won't be informative or interesting to the readers. 7th is the audience and context. You need to take into account what your reader already knows. Remember that in today's media culture, most readers became aware of breaking news as it happens. If you are writing for a print publication the next day, your lead should do more than merely regurgitate yesterday's news. Next is honesty. A lead is an implicit promise to your readers. You must be able to deliver what you promise in your lead. And also, Never mislead the reader. If you promise a certain type of information with your lead, you should be ready to deliver it. And for the last steps, you need to structure your lead properly. Put your most crucial information at the very beginning of the sentence. Important secondary information can go in subsequent sentences. Not following this practice is called burying the lead. If you need attribution in your lead, make sure it goes toward the end of the sentence because it is less important than the information itself. Since we are done discussing the tips on how to write a good lead, now we also have the things to avoid. First is the flowery language. Many beginning writers make the mistake of overusing adverbs and adjectives in their leads. Concentrate instead on using strong verbs and nouns. Second is unnecessary words or phrases. Watch out for unintentional redundancy. For example, 2 p.m., Wednesday afternoon, or very unique. You can't afford to waste space in a news story, especially in the lead. Avoid clutter and cut right to the heart of the story. Third is formulaic leads. Because a lot of news writing is done on deadline, the temptation to write tired leads is strong. Resist it. Readers want information, but they also want to be entertained. Your lead must sound genuine, not merely mechanical. And the last one is the word it. Most editors frown on leads that begin with the word it because it is not precise and disorients the reader. Since we are done discussing the tips on how to write a good lead and the things that we need to avoid, this time we're going to talk about the different types of leads. The first one is the summary lead. So what do you mean by a summary lead? A summary lead is the most common and traditional lead in journalism. It is meant to give a quick summary in as few words as possible and is usually one sentence. It contains most of the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why, and the H or how. Look at this example of a summary lead. 2 Hamilton County Commissioners plan to force the county's top administrator out of office today. You can see this lead addresses the traditional who, what, and when. If this information had been reported on TV or radio the day before, this lead might not be a good one for the print edition of the newspaper. However, if the reporter had an exclusive or posted this information online as soon as it became available, then this lead would make sense. Note that it is brief, it contains 15 words and uses an active sentence construction. Second type is the anecdotal lead. So sometimes a beginning story with a quick anecdote can draw in readers. The anecdote must be interesting and must closely illustrate the article's broader point. If you use this approach, specificity and concrete detail are essential and the broader significance of the anecdote should be explained within the first few sentences following the lead. This is an example of an anecdotal lead. From Dan Rescue's San Juan beach chair in Thailand, the Indian Ocean began to look oddly not so much like waves but bread though. As you can see, this article is a local angle on the devastating tsunami that struck Southeast Asia in 2005. As a result of the massive death, toll, and worldwide impact, most readers would have been inundated with basic information about the tsunami. Given that context, this lead uses an unexpected image to capture the reader's attention and prepare them for a new take on the tsunami. Again, it is brief, it contains only 23 words. Next is exclamatory lead. It begins with an enthusiastic statement that declares big news. An example of exclamatory lead is when the winners of the National Talent Search were announced last fall, Senior Brian Delaney's name was called. Also, we have a question lead. It begins with a provocative question, evoke a desire to know the answer. This is an example of a question lead. Have you ever wished for a pot of gold? What if you truly found one? Would it change your life? Well, and for the last type of lead, we have the quotation lead. It consists of speakers' direct words which are very striking and which are usually quoted from a speech, a public address, or an interview. This is an example of a quotation lead. I was impressed with how well students were prepared for the interview, said State Senator Robert Smith. That would be all for today. Thank you for listening and I hope you learned something today. Have a nice day!